TB Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific. TGN Latinx. So,
Sir.
Investment bars. Here we go, yo. Investment bars. Let's start with the golden rule. Play with money that you lose. You acting like a fool.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brown Wealth Radio. It's another edition, and I'm really happy to be here with my boys, Rennie and Jesse, and all the way live from the 818. Our boy Dogra,
aka the champion.
Dogra the champ. Go ahead and let the people know what you were doing this weekend, my boy.
I was playing in a basketball tournament, 35 and older league, and
there you go.
Brought home the hardware.
Nice.
There you go.
What was that stat line like?
I do the kind of stuff that doesn't get in the stats.
There you go. A triple double, a single double. My boy got a single double. Oh no, what is it? A triple single. I apologize.
There you go.
Let's get this show on the road. And our question for today is, my boys, how do you guys get your mind ready for the day? What do you guys do to get ready? You get a long hop in the shower, do a little Pusha T. Yeah.
Well, I think what everybody wants to know is how my boy over here is so happy to start his day.
Actually, yeah.
Bro, you know what it is? Well, first and foremost, it's the girls, man.
Yeah.
When I see them in the morning, I got to spend some time with them. Dude, they light up my day. But I believe in, starting my day with daily routines, man. So I do positive affirmations every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Like hit the iTunes, positive affirmations, start my morning, stare at myself in the mirror like a fool, and just talk to myself and start manifesting these things these thoughts of abundance. And it's going to be a great day. And there's a choice to make, right? When you wake up. And bro, I just made the choice today to be happy, and it was a great day.
That's awesome. Little eye candy in the morning when you look in the mirrors. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. What about you, my boy Rennie?
I'm big on routines too. I'm pretty regimented. I'm usually up every day at 4. Part of that is because I want to get a head start on my day. The biggest part of that is my son wakes up at 6:45, and I got to get as much done as I can before he's up. And for me, getting ready for the day starts the night before. I'm very, very routine based, so I pretty much know what I'm going to do every minute of the day. And the way that I start is by preparing the night before. So I look at what did I accomplish that day, what didn't I accomplish, and what needs to be accomplished the next day. And then I basically just kind of like track it out, in increments of time. And I make sure that I accomplish everything that I need to do. And, certain things that may or may not need to be done that day. Like I see how much I can squeeze it in and, just try to be as productive as possible.
Word. What about you, Dogra?
See, this is one where I would have wanted to go before these two, you can't really back what those two do right there. I'm not as disciplined as those two are. One thing I am doing as of, I'd say, last couple months is stretching, a little bit of yoga stretches. You know what I mean? Because physically, I just don't feel like I'm as mobile as I used to be. So it kind of helps me give me more energy in the day. And then, I do have a pretty nice commute. So I kind of pick what podcast or what topic I'm going to listen to on my drive to work.
Nice. All right, well, I'll go. I'm a big creature of habit as well. I think for me, it starts off with I wake up at 4:15 as well, so I can hit the gym. I got to get to the gym, at 5 because I got to, go from 5 to 6. And my whole thing is I'll get my lift in, and I got to do the sauna. I'm a sauna guy. I like to get that sauna in, then I get ready for work. And I also have my morning cafecito. So, it's a combination of doing that because obviously for me, when I'm right, I can get the school off, to a good start. And and I'll be real with you guys. When I don't go to the gym, it's a rough morning, man, for me. Like I end up getting a coffee and sometimes some donuts.
You're always gym in the morning, like years now, right?
Yeah, I've been gym in the morning probably since 2008 because I can't do the night.
Remember on an empty stomach, right?
On an empty stomach because remember when we used to do P90X at night? Yeah. It wasn't good for me. I'd get home from the gym like at 11 and just wired out of my mind, and I can't go to sleep, and then having to wake up again at 6. It didn't work for me. So the morning
steam room
routine,
or sauna?
Huh?
Steam room or sauna?
I like the steam room.
All we have is a sauna at LA Fitness, so I that's what I do. So shout out to LA Fitness sauna because that one takes care of me.
Right.
But I do love the sauna, like just getting a real good sweat in and just getting my day started and going with that. So Jesse, do what you do, my friend.
There we go.
Let's get it, folks. Bueno, dímelo, mi gente. Welcome to the 12th installment. This is the last episode of the quarter.
There you go.
This is
Become like
our
last
first
episode.
3 months
God
are
damn.
coming to a conclusion. So I figured, it makes sense to name it the Dirty Dozen.
There you go. There you go.
So it's a nice little milestone for us. It's also the first day of June, which is the 6th month of the year. You see how I'm on this, milestone kind of trajectory, right? Yeah. But before we get into what the show's gonna be about today, I'm gonna need you to take a moment and hit that like button. Share that with 5 of your peoples.
Share.
And hit that little subscribe button, that little bell.
Subscribe.
So you know when we go live and drop this great information that I think we're providing. So now that you've taken that moment to hit that like button, this week, Rennie has a pretty diverse spectrum of info from these streets, right? Talk about being glued to the investing
My boy
streets.
knows.
We're going to be debating or discussing the earnings of what I think is a sleeper tech company that doesn't get talked about a lot.
Okay.
One of the most popular meme stocks that has gained a lot of traction. Credit Chris, what are you dropping for us this week, man?
What is the optimal balance to keep on your credit cards, and is it bad to have zero balance on your card?
That's a good teaser right there.
Teaser. And you got to stay tuned for the second half of the show. Because we're going to be talking about side hustles. How do we increase our take-home income during these inflationary times? But y'all already know what's got to happen. Before we do any of what we do, we got to let my man do what he does. Take us home, man.
I'm glad you guys didn't switch it up this time, but we're going to go ahead and say the disclaimer, and that is that our content is intended to be used and must be used for educational and informational purposes only. It is very important to do your own research, aka do your homework before making any investment decisions, and they should be based on your own personal circumstances. Investing has inherent risk, and past performance does not guarantee future results. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Clean.
Did you time it?
Yes, he beat it. That was 19 seconds right
there. Give me a little round of applause right there.
Yeah. All right. What's the 411? Well, let's get started with this one. This one's kind of funny to me. Chart suggests it's going to be a very nice summer for stocks. Jim Cramer says. CNBC's Jim Cramer explained technical analysis from veteran chartist Larry Williams that suggests the market's recent rebound could last for the next few months. Larry Williams perfectly called the bottom the week before last. Now his analysis suggests we've got a lot more room to run. He thinks this is not just a short-term bounce. It's a move that could last through the end of August, the Mad Money host said. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 last week saw their best weekly gain since November of 2020. Through the 3 major indices, including the NASDAQ Composite, are all well below, which are currently well below their highs. Oh, man, I got to tell you guys, I read this, and the first thing I did was I bought puts.
There you go. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, it seems like this guy, Jim Cramer, is like he's like the Skip Bayless of stock forecasting. Like the guy just calls out some outrageous stuff and he tends to be wrong.
He tweeted today that an afternoon resurgence in the stock couldn't be more bullish than the market just boom into close. Which we'll talk about in a little bit. So
it's almost like he's good to just hedge against.
I mean, honestly, if you literally go against everything he said in at least the last couple of months, you can't miss.
There you go.
You can't miss.
I mean, remember, guys, he gets paid to talk, about stocks every day. So he throws it whichever way it needs to be.
Yep. Well, let me get into, it's not just about Cramer, but let's talk about what's going on in the market. So Fed's quantitative tightening is about to arrive. What that might mean for markets. It actually started today. Starting on Wednesday, the Fed will begin reducing its holdings of Treasury securities, agency debt, and agency mortgage-backed securities by a combined $47.5 billion per month for the first 3 months. After this, the total amount to be reduced goes up to $95 billion a month, with policymakers prepared to adjust their approach as the economy and financial markets evolve. Andrew Hunter, a senior U.S. economist at Capital Economics, said that we expect the Fed to reduce its asset holdings by more than $3 trillion over the next couple of years, enough to bring the balance sheet back in line with its pre-pandemic level as a share of GDP. Though that shouldn't have a major impact on the economy, the Fed might stop QT, quantitative tightening, prematurely if economic conditions sour, he said. The main impact will come indirectly via the effects on financial conditions, with quantitative tightening putting upward pressure on Treasury term premiums, which, alongside a further slowdown in economic growth, will add to the headwinds facing the stock market, Hunter said in a note. The key uncertainty is how long the Fed's rundown will last, he said. So when it comes to quantitative tightening, it's the opposite of quantitative easing, right? So what they're doing is they're actually shrinking the money supply that's out there while rates are being increased. Yeah. All this, why is it happening? Is to fight inflation.
Yeah.
So what that basically means is there's less money in the pot. And when Kramer is saying that the stock market might run, I don't know if like Dogger says, is that more of like a sensationalist thing to just kind of, you know, stir up the pot a little bit? Is he thinking about these things? Maybe, because it doesn't mean it's going to happen right away. It's probably not going to happen in a straight line. But the last time that the Fed did quantitative tightening, God, I'm struggling with these words, interest rates were actually significantly higher and inflation was nowhere near what it is now. So they actually have a little bit more of a mandate to get these things under the control. So when you talk about tightening, it's going to get pretty tight out there, in my opinion. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Well, I think just with what's going on with everything, you know, they're trying to do whatever policy they can to subside all these things that are going on. But at the end of the day, somebody's going to benefit. And, you know, somebody's going to get, you know, asked out. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I think you're right. But I think what I like is that they're at least admitting that they got it wrong, right? Like the Fed's got to do what they got to do. And I think it was Janet Yellen was on saying like, hey, we thought it was going to be transitory. It wasn't. Inflation looks like it's here to stay. They got to do something.
And Biden actually met with Powell yesterday and basically said he's going to give the Fed space to do what they need to get inflation under control. And the way I interpret that, it means, you know, basically if you have to hike up the rates faster, if you have to unload the balance sheet faster, like I got no skin in that game, because at the end of the day, if inflation is out of control like it is now, they don't have a chance at the elections. It's all politically driven.
It's hurting the people. Look at the gas pumps. My gosh, it's over $6 everywhere again.
Yeah.
Yep. So what it comes down to is the following. The stock market casino is closed. Investors have learned a bunch of hard lessons so far in 2022. The stock market doesn't always go up. Factors such as the economy, earnings, and valuations, which might sound like the quaint relics of a bygone era, still matter, even in a world seemingly dominated by memes and Reddit boards. Picking winning stocks isn't easy, especially at a time when the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates and inflation is starting to hurt consumers and the broader economy. Shares of many speculative tech companies are now tumbling due to worries about weakening fundamentals and unsustainable stock prices. The world is waking up to the fact that 0% interest rates are done, said Max Wasserman, co-founder of Miramar Capital. Rates were real low and people took on excess risk because anytime the stock market pulled back, the Fed cut rates. The message was to buy the dips because the Fed has your back, but the party's over. We can't just keep throwing money in the air and expect everything to go up. When you buy an ETF, you're just buying a basket of stocks and everybody is buying that same basket, Wasserman said. Wasserman specifically recommends the blue chip stocks that pay steady dividends and thinks investors should have their portfolios diversified through a variety of sectors. So shout out to anybody who's supported by purchasing the Brown Wealth Matters stock market course. And part of that course walks you through the different levels of risk that are involved with all of the different types of securities that are out there. And we know that stocks and sector specific ETFs have a huge amount of risk. And that's why you have to diversify that portfolio. And that's basically what this is getting at. Yes, I do agree that like blue chips are great. My personal opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, is that you have to invest in companies that make tangible goods that are turning a profit during these times. And that's how you can kind of hedge, you know, your downside a little bit, right? So that's kind of my take on it. I think that's what they're saying. I think the point here is like, don't expect to become a millionaire overnight, but just investing in the next meme stock is what it comes down to. That's real.
And shout out to our comments as always. Wifey is always showing support. Thank you very much, love. And Cesar Leo always coming in. You know, 12 episodes in. Congrats to you as well.
Shout out to Cesar Leo, man. I was listening to your episode on the way in, man. Yo, man, I just mad props, man. Like your content is so solid, man. You come in like super prepared. Like it's very inspiring, like to listen to your podcast, man. Like the episode was really dope. I'm so far at the part where, you know, you were talking about the shooting in Uvalde and just like a really, really dope conversation you were having with your guest, man. So man,
I gotta check out that show because I want to see what he does for great fucking movie.
Yo, by the way, Cesar Leo, I've been listening to the music, bro. Mad props, man. You know, we got to get that our son and Cesar Leo collabo. I would say Spotlight, but I don't know if he's up for it or not. You know what I mean?
I'll just throw the ad libs in there. Yuck.
So what caught my attention was this comment from Cesar Leo. Biden ain't gonna do nothing but go to sleep.
Well, if you watch the video from the meeting with Powell, it looks like he's asleep.
Y'all gotta watch that new Cat Williams stand-up where he says, "Leave my boy Biden alone just because he's 93 goddamn years old."
But this is a different Wasserman. This is a Wasserman from I can't remember if it's a hedge fund. But no, not that Wasserman. Wasserman, co-founder of Miramar Capital. But maybe I should look into it. Who knows? Maybe they are related. So
yeah, that's real.
Yep. So we moving on to our next segment, right?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Before we go there,
you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
That's true.
Yes, sir. Let's hit it.
I need a dollar, that's what I need.
Hey.
Well, I need
Yes, sir. So let's see how the market did today. My boy, we got to hit him with a little bit of that red wine because we had a red day today.
Let's let's do that.
Yeah. So the market
it was a red day.
It was a red
sorry,
day.
I didn't realize my day was pretty fucking
Here
green
we
today.
go. Here we go. So the
Called
S&P,
in real time on the BSV investors and trades chat on IG. Just gonna go ahead and
we're still gonna put
Rick,
that
do
out
me a
there
favor,
for.
dust his shoulder off for me. I'm not there. Dust his
Yeah,
shoulder
exactly.
off.
But the S&P 500 went down $30.92 to 4,101.23 cents. The Nasdaq went down 93.74 points to 12,548.36 cents, and the Dow Jones went down 176.89 points to 32,813.23 cents. But my boys, when I was doing this research, these numbers are actually higher than they were last week. When in doubt, zoom out. So make sure that you guys always do that. And again, if you are tuning in, you are listening to Brown Wealth Radio here on TGN Latinx and the Good News Radio Network. So let's keep this moving and go on to earnings.
Now, talk about que me llueve el dinero. Like, this is what I consider to be a sleeper in the technology conversations when it comes to a stock to invest in. Again, not financial advice, but just something that I found really interesting. So, $HPQ. You guys know what that is?
Hewlett Packard?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
HP. Now, there's two, long story short, HP split into two different entities, but this is like the computing side of them. Expected earnings per share, $1.06 versus actual EPS of $1.08.
Nice.
Okay.
Expected revenue, $16.19 billion versus an actual of $16.49 billion, as in billions. They delivered as well a 25-cent dividend, and they acquired a company called Poly. It's also a public company, ticker sign POLY. And this is their push into the hybrid workspace. So really solid numbers. And then you think about the fact that they spent $3.3 billion on the acquisition of this company, Poly, or roughly $40 a share.
Okay.
Now, here's something that they said. The rise of hybrid work is creating sustained demand for technology that enables seamless collaboration around home and office environments. They said something. There's a crazy number in here. Roughly, where to go? There are more than 90 million rooms with less than 10% have video capabilities. Like, that's how many conference rooms there are in America that don't have video. And
Jesus.
That's all we do is video conference now for everything, right? So I think a really strategic play on their part, and to see the earnings that they have. Like, really, when was the last time you heard somebody talk about HP?
Man, I was confusing them with like Packard Bell and Compaq, bro. You remember those computers from like the 90s?
I think this one's an HP.
Oh, you upgraded?
I got
upgraded.
So let me tell you a little bit more about HP. So for the day, they were flat. For the last 5 days, they're up 12%, 12 and change. For the month, they're up 4.8. For the 6 months, they're up 3.9. Notice how I keep saying up in this down market, right? Year to date, they're up 2.16%.
Okay.
1 year from this time
From
last
today,
year, they're up 30%.
Wow.
For the last 5 years, they're up 104%.
Wow.
But they're a boring company that nobody talks about.
And they're a sleeper, as you said.
Well, I mean, I think when you think about like boring investments or whatnot, you just got to look at Buffett. I mean, he's whooping everybody's ass now. And, a year ago, everybody thought he was done. Like, oh, we could out invest Warren Buffett. Now look at him. Crazy.
Yeah.
Word. Well, I'll pass the next one to you, man.
All right, so Hewlett Packard. I guess I get to talk about a little bit more of a fun one. Again, we're not financial advisors. I wouldn't invest in this company. I definitely might trade it. But it's GameStop, $GME. So they reported earnings after the bell today, and they actually, I believe, beat sales. They came in at a 1.38 billion versus an estimate of 1.32, but we're not even close on earnings. They were estimated to lose $1.45 a share. They ended up losing $2.08 a share. So here's an interesting thing is they actually are sitting on more inventory than they were expected to. And they said that they were trying to get ahead of supply chain headwinds. But they're actually also trying to get into like the NFT space. It's kind of confusing. I don't really understand it, like as I'm trying to look into it. But they basically said that their hardware sales, so their actual like gaming systems like that declined, but the growth was offset by software and collectibles. One interesting thing is that they are sitting on 1.04 billion in cash and they pretty much have no debt. But here's the thing, when the stock went crazy a year ago, whenever that was, they did an additional share offering, and guess how much they raised? Almost 1.04 billion. So basically the cash that they're sitting on is because they were smart enough to do that additional share offering when everybody was going crazy. They put more shares in circulation, and of course people bought it. If I remember correctly, I think that share offering, I don't have the data in front of me, but I want to say that they put it out at like 300. Well, the company's trading for, I believe it was at around 114 in the aftermarket or so. Maybe 121. Yeah. So everybody who bought that is underwater, you know, for sure. Like they're definitely under. Now, the thing with GameStop is it has a very much of a cult following, and it was one of the biggest returns during COVID. It actually traded as low as $3 like right after COVID. And when it went wild last year, I still remember watching like my screen while GameStop was going crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Like the amount of orders that were coming in, it went all the way up to all-time high was $483.
Jesus.
And now it closed at 121 today. After the bell, it originally went all the way down to 114, went up as high as 133, and then it settled right around there. Now, the thing with GameStop, I remember when this was happening a year ago, we were having this conversation. I think I remember Dogra telling me that, like, at work, people were coming to him and telling him, like, yo, I'm going to invest in AMC. I'm going to invest in GameStop. And there's some people out there that were smart. They got in and got out. Most of them probably knew what they were doing, and they made a killing off of it. But a lot of people got caught holding the bag. Yeah. You know, you hear about the GameStop and the AMC apes, like they still think this thing is going to turn around. But it comes down to fundamentals for me. And when I think about GameStop, when I was living in Sylmar, there's a GameStop in Sylmar off Foothill Boulevard. That shit looks like they haven't put a dime into that store in years. Now, I haven't been there in like a year, so maybe it looks a little bit better now. But when you have this company, no, it doesn't. Like, no, it looks like it's going out of business while they have $1 billion of cash, you know, in on hand. So to me, it's like, why would I ever consider investing in them for the long term? It's probably an industry that's going to die out. They don't need those stores anymore. Everybody like probably orders this stuff online. So I just don't see it. I wanted to talk about it because I think it could have been interesting. I wouldn't have been surprised if it ran 20% after the bell and would have gone crazy, and then it would have started some, you know, euphoria again. But these are the things that you got to be careful with, because you hear about all the craziness, like the stock price goes up and then people jump into it and they get caught holding the bag and then they don't trust the stock market again.
It's just like it's the hype beast, like anything else, like the shoe game, you know. Kanye just talked about his sandals that he created, or those shoes with all the holes. He wanted to sell them for $20. You know what I mean? He wanted it to have no shoelaces, like, and all of a sudden now they're so expensive. They're doing the same thing with this stock. To your point, you couldn't even tell us with doing research where the company's going or what are they going after, right?
Yeah.
And yet, look what's happening with the stock. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the psychology behind investing, right? Like all these meme stocks, like I guess if you want to call them sexy stocks that, you know, everybody hypes up. If you get in at the wrong time, like you're going to get burned, right? And to your point, it's going to scare you out of the market versus a quote unquote unpopular, boring or a
sleeper one. Yeah.
That, dude, like if you just put your money in there 5 years ago, you're up 100% for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Just holding it. And you get a dividend.
And you're getting the dividends, which is always good.
Now, with that said,
down market.
Now, with that said, there's some people that bought at $2.50 and they're doing great.
Yes.
And they're probably going to be great. But I think it's all about that entry. Like, if you are looking, like right now, a lot of people are probably looking at oil companies. And my opinion, they probably got some room to run. Gas prices are going to go up. Oil is going to continue to go up. But people are probably going to jump in right when it turns, right when gas prices start dropping, and then they're going to be like, damn, like I should have never invested. So I haven't had a chance to start this book yet, but I'm actually going to be reading The Revolution That Wasn't by Spencer Jakar. It's about GameStop, Reddit, and the fleecing of small investors. So I'll be starting that very soon and look forward to chatting about it a little bit more, because you know, I think that affected a whole generation of investors who, you know, hopefully they figured it out. Hopefully it got them going. It got them, you know, excited about the market. But, you know, I do feel that most people caught the short end of the stick there. So, you know, we'll have to see how that plays out.
And I think that was really important to what we decided to do as a group, as a team, as a movement, for what we wanted to share, because it would have been really easy to just jump on, you know, these hype stocks and say like, hey, invest your money in this because it's going to keep going up and it keep moving up and blowing these things up. and we knew that wasn't going to, be sustainable.
Right. I mean, it ties back to the article that Rennie was discussing, right? Like the stock market, quote unquote, casino is closed. It's not the same. Investing this year is not the same as it was in 2019.
The one thing I will give to the AMC apes and those GameStop believers, if you talk to them, this is their way of sticking it to the man and standing up in their booth.
I mean, and they did, right?
They did, right?
For sure.
They broke down one of the biggest hedge fund managers, right? Or
they're still around. They hurt him for a little bit, but they're still in business.
He got Billy's.
No, I think he finally
recently,
let go of his fund.
Oh, really?
I think he wrote to his investors and said that he couldn't sustain it anymore, and he was caught holding the bag, and he closed his fund. Melvin Capital. I think it was Melvin Capital.
I think it was that. I actually heard that on Brown Wealth Radio, so I was really happy that I tuned in and I made sure that I caught it. What was that, Dover?
Oh yeah, Melvin Capital did close.
So that was really good, and
they gave it to the man, but honestly, like the man gave it right back.
Well, that's typically what happens. They take you for a couple games and then they come back and clean the house out. But again, we are going to be moving on to our commercial break. But before we go, we do want to give you guys a little bit of a teaser, and that is, if there's going to be a brown skin investor missing, how do we make up for it?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I will not be on next week, but I am excited to announce that my brother will be our special guest. So shout out to Frank Sanchez, the Director of Community Engagement and Corporate Social Responsibility for Shine Group, a.k.a. Stizzy. So my brother's doing it up big in the cannabis space. If you want to learn a little bit more about what he's up to, I'm sure he's going to want to tell you all about it. So tune in next week. We're going to have Frank in the house, and he's actually probably better at talking than any of us are. So this should be fun.
So make sure you stay tuned and you come back because we got some more information coming to you guys on Brown Wealth Radio. Yep.
We're going to have Frank in the house, and he's actually probably better at talking than any of us are. So this should be fun.
So make sure you stay tuned and you come back on because we got some more information coming to you guys on Brown Wealth.
It's back, Jax. Have you heard? It's back.
Michael, what are you talking about? What's back?
The podcast pit.
Oye, locos, this is Rennie with the Brown Skin Investors, helping communities of color learn more about financial literacy. Catch us every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on TGN Latinx.
It's back, Jax. Have you heard? It's back.
Michael, what are you talking about? What's back?
The podcast pit. It is returning Monday, May 23rd. Brand new venue.
Oh my God, the podcast pit is back. Exciting. Where's it at?
It's going to be at Jox's Daily at 7:30 p.m.
I know where that's at. That's at 11168 Washington Boulevard in Culver City.
So, Jax, will I see you there?
Oh, you know it, baby.
Hey, Jackie, what's wrong?
I'm over here running around trying to tell everybody about the podcast pit.
What's the podcast pit?
I'm glad you asked. The podcast pit is an event where you will find some of your favorite podcasts performing in front of a live audience.
Will there be food and drinks there?
Of course there will be. It's at Joxer Dailies in Culver City. They have a full bar and a full menu.
Hey, I may need to tell people about this as well.
Yes, come with me. Let's tell them.
The podcast pit is coming. The podcast pit is coming.
Are you trying to buy a home, car, or make other investments and being discriminated against because of your credit score? At credit909.com, our professionals can help you remove judgments, student loans, child support, medical bills, and other erroneous and negative items on your credit report. Call 800.
All right, welcome back to Brown Wealth Radio here on TGN Latinx and the Good News Radio Network. It is your boy Ricks along with my boys Rennie and Jesse live, and Dogra from the streets of the Great 1-8. Say hello to the people again. Dogra, you go ahead and unmute them.
Oh, my bad.
But before the break, we did discuss at Mercado. We talked a little bit about some stocks and how they're doing with their earnings report, and some more information coming up. But before you do, make sure you follow us on social media at the Brown Skin Investors. We're always posting up some gems. Today we had the gem of the day with my boy Jesse just being happy as a clam. So he was doing his thing today. And you could also use the link in our bio to purchase the Brown Wealth Matters stock market course and webinar series, Brown Wealth Matters merch, and more. And also remember, set your calendars to Saturday, June 11th, because the boys of Brown Wealth Radio are going to be coming live from Chase Bank in my hometown of Inglewood, where we're going to be teaming up with them to bring financial literacies and resources to our community. So make sure you check our IDs for all the details. Plus, next week, we're going to have a very special guest, and my boy Frank, a.k.a. Paco, a.k.a. Stizzy, CZ. And here we keep it going. So,
hey, did you go to Hawthorne or Inglewood?
I went to Hawthorne High.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Caesar Leo went to Inglewood.
Okay.
I thought maybe you guys had crossed.
Yeah, the guys that go to Morningside in Inglewood give me shit because I went to Hawthorne, but it's okay.
Okay.
I went where I went, and that's where I went. I still grew up in Inglewood. I still know probably better than most. So what's up, y'all? Give me this shit.
Hey, I got no qualms.
Says the guy who went to what school? What school did you go to? Ready?
Cathedral. Bro.
There you go. The Mean Streets Cathedral. That's a private school.
Hey.
So
no tuition.
There you go. What kind of credit tips you got for us today, Credit Chris?
All right. Let's get to it. So, I've been hearing a lot of questions about, does carrying zero balance hurt your credit score? There is that belief that if you don't use your credit card, it's going to hurt you. Also, another question that's been thrown our way is, what's the more optimal balance to carry on a credit card when trying to really build your credit score?
Mm-hmm.
So, just to let everybody know, having a zero balance on your credit card is not negatively hurting you. It's not. Okay.
Nah.
Let's get that out the way right there. That's not true.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you have credit cards and you never use them and they close your accounts because you never use them, that's different. That will definitely negatively impact your credit score. But just because you haven't used a credit card for a few months or has a zero balance, it's not negatively hurting you in any way. Now, if you are trying to buy a house, buy a car, something where you want your credit score to be, that A1, that as close to 850 as possible, there are certain ways and certain things you can do. So in the chat real quick, what percent of a balance do you think you should have on a credit card that is optimal in terms of building your credit score? Anyone out there want to take a guess?
On the
Anyone
chat?
out there?
I guess it's a cheat code if we do it, right?
Yeah, cheat code if you guys do it.
Yeah,
I will say, if you're just starting, we want to be 30% or less, right?
Yeah.
If you're just
That's
starting.
big.
Because
Yeah.
First, let's get to 30% before we're talking about the optimal numbers to be at. But I actually got a document from a FICO director who basically told me this is what they use when factoring in the balance on a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So just to kind of break things down for you. If you have 90% of your balance used up, you can get a possible 15 points to your overall credit score. If you have about, excuse me?
Like a 15 point. So if you're at 90% or more, it could negatively impact you by 15 points.
No, because basically they add up. They start you at 0 and they start adding your score up. That's how you get to that 700, that 600.
Got it.
So in terms of how much balance you have on your cards, each card, that's only going to give you 15 points if you're using 90%, right? Now, if let's say you have 50 to 89% of your credit card balance used up in purchases, you could get about 25 points.
Oh, gosh. So you get more.
Okay. You see, it starts going up with the less balance that you have. Now, let's say you have 20 to 49%. That's going to give you about 45 possible points added to your overall credit score. 7 to 19% will give you about 50 points possible.
Okay.
Now, Zero balance, remember, zero balance that people try to say it negatively hurts you, it gets you 55 points possible, up to 55 points possible.
Yeah.
Okay. But now we're the most optimal place to be. And, you know, I've heard two different things. I've heard 1 to 3%. This report says 1 to 6. So I'm going to report on this because this came from the FICO director himself. But if it's 1 to 6%, you'll get about 65 points possible added to your credit score.
So essentially what that shows, Dogra, does it show that people are able to take advantage of the credit utilization, that they're being responsible with the credit, but also that they're using it enough that they're going to become dependable creditors?
Exactly. Remember, this is all algorithms. It's all math calculated.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like teasing the algorithm, so to speak, because you don't want to be where you're at zero balance, because as you can see, they cap you at 55 points if you're at zero balance, but you don't want to be above 6% of your credit limit for that specific credit card, because that gives you the optimal amount of credit points you can have to your overall credit score.
Yeah, one of our day ones, if you could see it on the chat, one of our day ones, Carmen, she was saying her guess was 10% or less, and that's a really strong credit utilization. But I think the gem that Dogra was able to share today, that 1 to 6 is the real sweet spot as far as having that as utilization.
But basically, I think what you're saying too, though, is that 1 to 6 is like ideal if you're really trying to leverage your credit score for a particular purchase, or maybe you're just like Jesse and you want to have the highest credit score you could possibly have.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to get to, Rennie. Like when we're here giving you these credit gems, we're teaching you how to get it to the highest possible, but we're also reminding you, you don't have to always have it at the highest possible. Not everybody wakes up in the morning and one of their positive affirmations is 846 credit score, like my boy Jesse right there.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. To be honest with you, like I hit that number with no bullshit, like without like focusing on hitting that number.
Yeah.
It just hit, and I was surprised.
You did the fundamentals you needed to do.
Yeah, like, you know, just by following the routines, you know what I mean? Like, and a lot of what you've shared, right? Like a lot of what you've shared is about the routine of, I love that tip he gave last time around, you know, tie a subscription to it so that the card never closes, right? So as simple as that.
I've been doing that since like ever since my boy Dogra gave me some of these gems. Like I put out all my cards down and I'm like, all right, this one's got that one, this one's got the pet insurance, this one's got the gas bill, this one's got that, you know? And they're all at least used at least once, maybe twice a month. And I mean, since then my credit score has flourished. I'm not at 846, but you know, I'll be there soon.
Nah, my shit, I got to update that it dropped, man. It went from 846 to 839.
Oh, poor you.
Damn,
You all right?
Damn, bro.
He went to that.
Still that happy. All right.
Imagine it was at an 846.
Yeah,
How much happier would he have been?
Exactly.
You might not be able to sit next to him.
Yeah. But Dogra, just so everybody that is joining us and everybody that does listen to, when you do tie up subscription, it is really important that you keep checking your cards and checking your balances so that you're not just having these outlandish charges without knowing.
The fundamentals.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Rennie's the spreadsheet god. He's the one who put me on game on really getting things on a spreadsheet and organized. You take that hour of time and lay out your credit cards. You easy Excel document where you put what subscriptions on where, and just make sure you have your auto pay set up. Not on the closing date, not on the when the payment date's due, but when the statement closing date's due, you're Gucci. Those three things right there is a recipe for success.
Well, I know we'll probably spend a future episode talking about this, but check this out, fellas. I got hit with some fraudulent charges on my card, man.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah. So basically I'm doing some work at the house. And we're buying some stuff for some of the work that's happening, and I put it on a card, and I've only used the card for one purchase, and I wasn't really paying attention to it. To your point, because that's it, just fine, I'll take care of it.
It's hard when you got like 19 cards too.
That too, but I'm spreadsheet god. Don't worry,
that's real. That's real.
So I got my routine.
He was gonna get there.
My routine. I come back to it, and I was expecting it just to be like $800 worth of supplies. I look, and it was like $4 or $5 grand.
Oh, wow.
Uber Eats,
My
Uber,
bad. My bad, bro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, you look so you were so well rested that day that I was over there visiting you, and that card was just sitting right there. So
that's messed up, bro. Because you used my son's card. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like I had to call that in, and the cool part is they take care of that shit pretty quickly. Like they wipe it right off, and I know it goes into a trial period and they talk about it. But that was like a good reminder because that's happened to me a few times before, and now I'm a little bit more confident because I know they take care of it. But like that could be a big shot.
Yeah, that's crazy, and I think that is one of the real unsung positives of credit is that you are pretty much zero liability if you're
that's
able
what
to
Dover
show it,
talked about when he said the debit card was the worst financial tool ever introduced.
That's real,
The American consumer, the worst financial tool.
Mm-hmm.
Their credit cards, they're going to take care of you.
Yeah, and Carmen, don't you worry, you are going to hit that 800. So we're here rooting for you, and just make sure you keep using these tips that Doug is sharing.
Yeah, Carmen, we can help you out. Slide into the DMs and ask questions that are specific to your situation.
Oh, the song is back.
There you go. I was about to do it today too.
Hey, we got the mouse working, so we're good to go now. We're good to go.
There you go.
All right, folks. Well, it's time for Brown Wealth Matters, right? So I want to kick this segment off first by showing some love, man, to one of our fellow podcasters here on the Good News Radio station. My guys over at the Giants Den.
Shout out.
Shout out to them, man. So Devontae posted something that was really dope in his stories, and it kind of resonated with me. So let me make sure I get it right. But it said, don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. And again, it just kind of talks to that little voice in the back of my head that anytime I try to chill or take a break, like, nah, you got more work to do. Like, you're not there yet. You know what I mean? And that was just motivating. And it kind of ties into what we want to talk about, right? We want to talk about side hustles and the fact that inflation looks like it's here to stay. It ain't easing up anytime soon. Yeah. So instead of being upset about it, what are some of the things that we can do that could potentially drive some more income, take home pay in our pockets, right? So again, just wanted to shout him out. And if you want to follow him, he's at DGreen _still_on_purpose. So shout out to them. Follow him. It really inspired me. I hope it inspires you as well.
Shout outs to them.
So guys, what do you think about side hustles? Like, is there anything that's kind of like piqued your interest or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not actively doing this, but one of the side hustles that I found very lucrative, and I'm actually going to give it props because I think it's part of the reason that I found my wife. I think I impressed her a little bit with our first date.
Oh, word?
Yeah. So I used to resell tickets, to concerts. Like I love concerts. I'm at a stage in my life where I don't like spending a lot of money for them anymore. So you're going to catch me at like a free show. You're going to catch me at the Novo. You might catch me like, actually I got to sit like front row at the, I forgot what concert it was a couple of weeks down at the Crypto Arena. I have trouble calling it that, but my boy Louis took me down to that one, and that was cool. But I don't really like doing that because it's a lot of money. But even back in the day when I would like fork out a few $100s like to go to a concert, I would always pick up if I needed 2 tickets, I was picking up 4 to 8 tickets, and I was marking them up and I was selling them, and I would go for free. And the first date that Myra and I went to, we went to go see The Weeknd at the Hollywood Bowl. Right around the time he was starting to blow up. I bought like 8 tickets and flipped them. And originally we were going to sit like towards the back. By the time we were like, I was done flipping them, we were sitting up at the front. Like we saw Kanye and Kim walking in right in front of us. Like it was dope. So, I'm sure she would never admit it, but I'm sure it had a lot to do with, our relationship flourishing from
there. You go.
So I haven't really done it, much as of late, just because I haven't been in that space. But, I do find that was like one pretty cool way for me to make some extra money and also do something that I got to enjoy without paying for it.
Word. I don't know if it would be considered a side hustle, but at the beginning of the days when I started teaching, I would take on a secondary job afterwards, working for the after school program. And also when I got into coaching and sports and athletics, and that came with, additional stipends. It was extra hours, obviously, and it was some long ass days, but it was something that I love to do, being out there for sports and coaching and working with student athletes. So that was something. But I don't know if that's considered a side hustle, but it was something that I did.
It's making extra money during this time.
I needed to augment my salary, amplify my income, as my boy Arson used to say.
There we go. What about you?
I mean, for me, one thing I'd say is I've been blessed to have a lot of good friends, and they all are in different ventures in their own personal lives, and I've been blessed to get opportunities to kind of take part in a little bit of it. I invested with my brothers right here, Angelitos.
Yes, sir.
My guy.
My best friend ever owns a trucking company, and I actually bought a chassis for a truck, that he actually rents from me. You know what I mean? And it gives me monthly income. My brother-in-laws, both of them, and I bought a portable restroom, a 2 portable restroom. Basically to take to parties. You know what I mean? Try to rent that out. So really just trying to get a lot of small little passive streams of income coming in, to help out.
My wife does a side hustle too. My wife works for the LA County Department of Mental Health full time, but she also is out in the field, like working her. I mean, I guess it's not technically a side hustle, similar to what you said, but she goes out a couple nights a month, and she works overtime out in the field, like helping. Sometimes it's people in the streets where she'll be out like with the police riding with them, or she'll go into people's homes to like actually do casework. And it's honestly, it's very lucrative, and it's been a huge blessing for us too. So sometimes it's not just you; it might be your partner doing it too.
So shout outs to her though.
Absolutely.
Putting in some work. Shout outs to you, Myra.
What about you, bro?
For me, so I've done a couple, right? So I guess you can consider the first business that you and I launched together, Angelitos, a side hustle. It's more of a side business that will soon become the main business. What we're doing here with the Brown Skin Investors, more of a passion project, I would call that, right?
Yeah.
But then so two that were relatively no lift. Like, and what I mean by that, it's like, dude, I had to do pretty much nothing to get this income. The first one was Turo. So I rented out during the pandemic, or at the end of the pandemic, as things were starting to open back up. I took advantage. My work schedule was very accommodating. I had 3 days off a week. I rented my car out the 3 days off that I had. I didn't need the car. I was home with the kids. So that was pretty cool, man. I made a couple stacks there. And then I said, okay, well, what else can I do now to implement this vehicle, and how can I get it to bring more money in? And I heard about car advertisement, like you see cars driving on the highway that are wrapped, and they'll have different advertisements and things of that nature. So I signed up. I signed up for both Carvertise and Wrapify. Now, this is not an endorsement. I had a decent experience with them, but you guys can do your own research and see if you like it. But I commute relatively far every day, like roughly 70 miles. Round trip. So that was beneficial for me, right? They were like, oh, this dude's on the highway. Everybody sees his car. I feel like everybody knows who I am on the big 405. So I got my car wrapped. And that I just got paid every month for having advertisements on my car.
That's dope.
Didn't have to do anything except drive my car to the shop to get it wrapped and collect the check at the end of every month.
So your side hustles where you got your car wrapped, and back in the day, our side hustle was that we wrapped.
There you go.
I got it.
Okay. I wanted to bring this up because I think it's an important topic for us to cover, as far as, there, not everything that, like, these side hustles aren't necessarily meant to
take over,
up, right? Like, it's going to bring a 6-figure income. Like, hopefully that's what you wanted to grow into, but all these little side hustles, add extra income, right? One of the things that we hear a lot, and I don't know if you do, but I hear a lot, is like, bro, like, I'm living hand to mouth. Like, I can't afford to invest. I got to make a decision between paying rent and buying food. So I understand it, right? I empathize with it. So what are other things that we can do to help amplify that income? What else can we do to get that take home? That these little, like, no lift, you're driving anyway. If you get selected for the program, like, dude, that's an extra few $100s a month that now either helps you close that gap. You start that investment fund, you start that emergency fund. Not every side hustle is going to be sexy either.
It's not always supposed, like you said, it's not always lucrative, and there's no shame in having a side hustle. I think of growing up, and I didn't know this very much, but seeing my uncle and then now my cousin, shout out to our boy Cisco, who's one of the day one supporters of the Brown Skin Investors, and they were experts at buying and flipping cars. And it was a passion for them, because like my cousin Cisco loves cleaning and working on cars, detailing them. Like, he gets my girl looking right whenever I need it, but he's really good at finding gems and flipping them. And he used that to pay for his wedding.
There you go.
And he did that within months. And it's just a matter of using your time productively. And like you said, looking for more skills, but he used his skills and his understanding of how to do things in order to use that as a side hustle.
I think side hustles, like, I think it's something that's very part of our communities, even the generations that are a little older than us.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think about my dad was always like big into, echándole mecánica. You know what I mean? Like my dad's not a mechanic himself, but a lot of people he worked with do a side hustle as a mechanic. Like I don't take the Tessie in, but the Infinity, I take it to one of my dad's friends and he hooks it up and he's just as good as if I went anywhere else. And he makes more money without a middleman. I get to pay less without a middleman, and that's what's up. So I think you can definitely.
You just gotta do it on the weekends because he's got his Monday through Friday probably for sure. We all have that.
Just talking about OfferUp. For me, it's not. It's how not to pay full price. Word, I love that you said that. I never pay full price for anything.
There you
OfferUp is my jam. No more paying full price for kid toys. No
there
doubt.
You go. That's real. Yeah, that makes, especially when they rotate.
Well, and there's other ones out there. Like shout out to Matt. Matt's on sometime. Most of the time he's on, but he's not on tonight.
Yeah.
He's got his side business. He mines crypto.
Yeah,
and he's always telling us about the gains. I know it's been a little rough lately. Don't worry, Matt. It's coming back. It's gonna be good. But he's super passionate about it. He loves it. He tells us all about it. One day we'll have him on the show.
Definitely have to bring a crypto go. Because he's really into that, and he puts us onto a lot of game. It's really dope how in depth his knowledge is.
One of the biggest reasons I got into knowing so much knowledge about credit is I started helping friends with their credit, and hey, whatever you want to throw my way financially as compensation, sometimes it was the number one at In-N-Out, sometimes $5,200, whatever they could afford or whatever they appreciate I was able to do for them.
And you know what else? Shout out to all those side hustles that, are unspoken.
There you go.
Speak about on the show. A lot of side hustles out there that have taken us a long way.
It's how I met Rennie. I'm really happy to say that we've grown as people, and I'm so proud of you for the development and the maturity that you've come up as a young man.
The botanist side hustlers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And then you got to think about not every side hustle takes a lot of time, and it doesn't have to be manual labor, right?
Yeah.
Like there was a time where Natasha was out driving Lyft. Why not, right? We had the time to let's get that extra in. But then there's so many other things that you can do. Like one of the things I'm interested in is, bro, let's set up an ATM.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for? I've been seeing, just doing moderate research on it. But again, not something that's gonna make us millionaires right away. But an ATM machine. On the store,
$100 a month, a profit
turns into 100, turns into 1,000.
Well, and that's the thing. Like some of these side hustles, end up, you sometimes end up cutting that middleman out. So another one that my wife does, my wife's a social worker, a trained social worker, right? So she does consultations, and she was doing them on BetterHelp, which is owned by Teladoc, and that wasn't working for her anymore for different reasons. So she transitioned a lot of her clients into private work. So now she's doing private consulting with them. She cuts the middleman out. It works out better for everybody, and it's like a better use of her time. She gets paid more. Her clients are happy. So you just never know. Sometimes you got to get started. She didn't like it as much when it was BetterHelp. Now she's seems to be enjoying it a little bit more. So there's so many ways to build on that. I love the ATM idea. I say we do it.
Yeah, it's a dope one. And also just to finish it off, considering we've been talking about, we are the financial literacy guys, but shout outs to our girl Diana Garcia. She does one-on-one coaching. That's a great side hustle for her because she's using her knowledge, what she's understanding now, to share with people. So that's also a side hustle for her. So shout out to that.
Man, that's awesome. And you know what? For a good amount of time, we weren't able to do.
We haven't been able to do this in a while, but we gotta do this.
Let's go.
I could have bought a place in Dumbo before it was Dumbo for $2 million. That same building today is worth $25 million. Guess how I'm feeling? Dumbo.
Yeah, man, it's been a while, but we have to bring the bars back, man. We talk so much about hip hop and our love of hip hop and bars and just understanding what it speaks to us, And so I brought some bars from, the great late Nipsey Hussle, who, in his short amount of time, he grinded for a very long time, but I was talking to you earlier, Jesse, about just how much game he really brought into, the hip hop world, how many nuggets he brought in. And so something that caught my eye that I wanted to share was from his song Racks in the Middle. And what he says is that if they catch me with it, they'll send me off to prison. Judge ain't sympathizing, court don't show forgiveness. Engine in the Lambo, drowning out the music. Sip Dior with flowers, Cubans. Champagne while I shop. Hope I splurge foolish. Closing escrow twice this month, both commercial units. So this guy was I don't know if I want to say ahead of his time, but he was somebody who really saw things what they were.
Yeah. You know, he dropped a mixtape and he only printed, I believe, 100 copies of them, and I think he sold each for what was it, like 1,000 or something like that?
Was it 1,000?
1,000 units for $100 each.
Okay, and then Jay bought
like 100.
Yeah, Jay bought a whole gang of them.
Yeah.
So he was ahead of his time. I think, you know, Nipsey like definitely changed the game, and obviously, you know, posthumously, you know, his influence has grown a lot. But when Victory Lap dropped, I was like, dope, this dude has just arrived. Because, you know, he was still working on like smoothing out his flow, like getting the music together. Victory Lap like dropped that year that it dropped, which I believe it was 2018.
I think so.
There was a lot of dope albums that year, and I thought his was right up there with anybody's. And then unfortunately, you know, he was taken from us. But you know, it's great to see his influence, you know, grow the way it has. But I think, man, he was just barely getting started.
And if we're talking about side hustle, like he was, you know, the king of them. And just a crazy story. My cousin's wife, you know, my cousin, I got mad love for her, but she knew him from when he used to sell socks down in Slauson. And that's how she met him. And that's how he used to, you know, give mixtapes and stuff like that. So he turned these side hustles into knowledge, and he used the knowledge of these side hustles and how he was spitting. So I definitely wanted to highlight him today, and you know, rest in peace to Nipsey, and you know, just shout out to everything that he did. But yeah, I wanted to bring that to bars because, you know, it'd been a while, my boys. It's been a while. So
no, absolutely. And you picked a great person to discuss, right? When you think about, there's an interview that I see him when he was young. He was like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And even at that age, he was talking about like, yeah, all this gold it's cool and all. But like, get you some property, get you some land. Like, dude, to have that foresight at that, like that's what was so amazing. Like, you knew he always had it in him. And like, I really appreciate you bringing those bars, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's right. So it looks like Rennie wants to bring some bars because I saw him searching something.
Oh no!
Oh, okay.
We'll save that for when I'm back.
What concert you guys going to this weekend, guys?
I gotta hit him with that.
Album of the year, right, Arson?
Oh, without a doubt, album of the year. Quote me on it. Like that album, it has so much. Dude, I just keep playing it. Like a lot of great albums have dropped, but this one, I mean, he's doing the same thing he did whenever. When did the last album drop? When Daytona dropped, was that 2019? 2018? Was that 20? I think it dropped the same year as Victory Lap.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and Victory Lap was amazing, but I'm not gonna Daytona. He's doing it again. Like it's just perfect album, start to end. I just discovered the Kanye versus Pharrell version where they split up the production.
Yeah,
it's a flawless produced album, man. Flawlessly
That's real.
produced.
So, yeah, shout outs to that. And
we are
next week we got next week coming up, my boys. We got a pretty good episode coming up now that we know Frank's coming through.
Absolutely.
And then again Saturday, September.
Twofer.
Yeah, we're gonna have a 2-show week. We're gonna do a show on Saturday, June 11th, live from Chase in the city of Inglewood. You know, that one's gonna be that's gonna be good. We're gonna be providing some more information to everybody out there as far as how, if you want to join us live and you want to be out there, because we're gonna be kicking it with the boys of Chase.
You got it.
I mean, our boys, our posse.
Shout out JPM.
And a little tease for what we're gonna be talking about in bars. You know, we're gonna be joining up with Chase as a posse cup. But we're gonna go ahead and take it out now. So thanks to everybody that joined us. And as always, here's some fire, and can't wait to see you guys next week. You know,
check it. The whole scene in hysteria. Flippings on the track. I'm burning up the area. Wonder how the hell your boy keep on spraying up. Put the